Hey Roosters, and welcome back to another video. Today, I'm looking to help you guys out. See, the thing is, if you do watch my battle videos or our battle videos here on the channel, then not only are you a small minority, but also then you probably might be wondering what system or what platform we use to play these card games. And that's what I really want to be talking about today in this video. The platform or the system or the website that we use, something that's actually a very cool website that I've been using a lot ever since I found out about it. And maybe you already do know about it, but in case you don't, it's called untap.in. So if you search up untap.in, it should pop right up. And using it is actually a lot more simple than people make it out to be. So there's very not much learning in the way of using this website. But I'm going to try to break down everything you really need to know to get into it and play some of your favorite card games such as Digimon TCG or Universus. So, starting off from the beginning, first thing you want to do once you get onto the website is you want to make an account, sign up, and sign in. Now, the thing about this is that it's so easy and it's so simple. I'm not even going to waste my time sort of going through it. I'm pretty sure you can go and figure it out all on your own. It's the simplest thing in the world. So we're going to skip over into what may be a little more difficult or maybe a little harder to understand. And that's building of decks in the system. Now, the thing about this is that first thing you want to do is you want to click on create deck if you don't have any decks, which will probably be the case if this is when you first created your account. But if you're not using premium, which is like a different version of the website you can pay for to get extra new and cooler features, if you're not using premium, you can only have a maximum of 10 decks total of throughout all the card games you play. So if you do have 10 decks, you might have to delete a deck or something to make space for a new deck you want to build. Case in point is that first you want to create a deck. So you're going to click on create deck, interestingly enough. So, a couple things to notice that you're first going to have to pick what game you're going to create this deck for. There's a multitude of different games on this website. Some favorites of us here on the channel, you got Digimon. You have, of course, the Universal Fighting System. So basically, you're just going to click. You're just going to pick whatever game you want to play. And then you also have to give it a name. So let's say I'm going to be building I don't know, a Kirishima deck. Now, excuse me if that's not how you spell his name. I don't actually know. But let's just assume that. We're going to build a deck. And first thing we want to do is we want to search out what cards we want in this deck. Now, let's say, of course, I'm going to be trying to build a Kirishima deck. And so I'll be searching up Kirishima, of course. Oh, wait, give me a second. So first you want to search up the name of the card that you want to build the deck around. So then, of course, in universes in particular, you want your character card. So you'll search up the name of your character card. And what you search up should be part of the word that part of the name of the card you're searching up. That's the best way to put it. So if I search up Kirishima, then I'm going to get Injiro or Ijiro Kirishima. And so I'm going to click, drag, and put that into start and play as little parentheses for character card, because this is sort of engineered to make it easier for you to build decks when you're playing universes. So here we put our character card. We only really need one of those. And then we'll go into the rest of our deck, and that can be filled up with whatever cards you want. Maybe some foundation. To search up the name of the foundation. Harden, for example. And then you add that. You click, drag, and add it to your main deck, which is where all your cards will be. Now, of course, in universes, you can have up to 4 copies of any one card, but say in your deck you only want a lower amount of a certain card. So you go over to the number over here, and where the plus and the minus is, and you click whichever one to add or subtract the amount of cards that are in your deck. So, for example, we can bring this down to only 2 copies of Harden in our deck. For example, if we don't want 4 copies. Then we might add some other cards to our deck, for example, like Harden Jab. And then you continue like this, searching up different cards you want to put in your deck. And you want to add them to your deck. And then you're going to sort of just keep doing that until your deck's completely built. And then that's really all there is to deck building. It's really not that hard and it's not that complicated. But some people do need to be explained, or some people would like it to be explained, or some people don't even know that you can do it on this site or something like that. And so it's important to go over it. But really, that's all there is to do. And when you're building a deck on Untap. Now, of course, there are different ways to import decks from other places on Untap. You can click on the settings of the deck and you can change it around, like the deck tags, the deck options, the different stuff you can do. You can download the deck, which means like you have it into like a nice little notepad where you can take it with you, I guess, on your computer to other digital sites and use the deck other places by like copying the deck over. But a thing about it is that it won't always be easiest to do this on universus, on Untap, should I say. So really, it's the easiest way is to search up the cards you want and add them to your deck. And in some cases, sometimes you will find deck lists that work to allow you to add decks from offline. Just copy and paste them onto Untap and totally give you the exact deck you want. Can be the case sometimes, won't always be the case all the time. But really, that's all there is to building your own deck. And of course, like I said, there's a bunch of different deck options that you can use to make your deck, well, customized, or really just make sure that it's fine-tuned or something along those lines. And a lot more stuff you can do with it if you have premium. But case in point, that's really all there is to building a deck. Now, here's probably where things get the most confusing for the most people. And that is actually playing the game inside the system. Now, if you're looking for somebody to play with, then all the chat logs are in Discord. So you have to hop onto Discord and you can talk to people and find matches there. Or maybe just go to Discord and talk to your friends through that. You don't even have to go to the Untapped Discord and find matches that way. Case in point, that's really how you'd be finding most matches on the game. But also, again, you don't really need to. The game isn't set up where Discord is required. If you don't like Discord, you don't really need to have it. Maybe just text up a friend, hey, you want to play a quick match of whatever you're going to play, build your decks, or if your deck's already built, hop into a game. Now, talking about hopping into a game, here's a couple things you want to do. First thing you want to do is click New Game. And now you can name the game different things, and you can, of course, change, like, say, example, for what is the difficulty level that you want to be playing at, for example. Okay, because sometimes you might just make a game and wait for a random person to join and just join up and play with you. So it's important to put this here just in case maybe a beginner is looking to play for his first game or something and wants to take it slow, or you're just messing around with decks, or you're just playing a quick relaxed game, or of course you may be trying to build optimized competitive decks, and that's what you really want to be fighting against or battling against to make sure that your deck is testing against the best decks. Now, of course, there's some other things you can choose, like how many players are in the game. Usually we're picking 2 because most card games are 2 players. There's solo for really testing draws and stuff like that when you're building or looking at your deck in a more spread out way. And then there's, of course, other things like a password. Only certain people can join, or friends only. If you have a friend on the site, then you make sure that they're the only person who can see the game so that they join the game. And nobody else does. So that's really all there is to setting up a game. But let's just say you want to create a new game. So we click on solo. I'm going to do that for the sake of, well, how do I put this? I'm going to do that for the sake of the video. Exactly. I'm going to mirror myself, which is something you can do. This deck versus deck thing, it's still in the beta format. And it's really not that important. How do I put that? Really, you don't really need to know that to get into playing some games on Untap. So we're not going to really cover that in this video. Okay, we're going to click Start Game. And the game's going to start up. And sometimes it might have a longer startup time or shorter startup time, depending on, well, really anything. So you can enter the game right here. And you can choose any one of your decks from the game that you've chosen when you were setting up the game. And then you play with that deck. For example, let's just click on the Bakugo deck that you may have seen me use in, well, this is just a rival deck, but you may have seen me use in one of our gameplay videos on the channel. Excuse me. So now you're in the game. You got your character on the field. You got your deck right here. You got a marker, a couple markers over here. The question is, where do you go from here? And the answer, my friend, is actually quite simple. So, a couple things you want to look at first off is your character card. Your character card is a nice way to get a look at cards that will be on the field. Because character cards on the field take the same attributes of any other card on the field. They're not really that special in terms of that in particular. What I'm trying to say, though, is that if you want to commit or tap a card, then you want to double click it. Double tap it. Give me a second. That will commit or tap it. If you want to mess around with cards in any other ways, then you want to left click it, or whatever that is for you that's not, you know, which is, I take that back. You just want to click it once. That must have been a new update with the game. My bad. Excuse me. Not left click it, just click it once now. And you can do a bunch of different things with the card from this area here. You can add counters for maybe damage if you're playing Pokemon, or maybe that's the way you want to keep track of your speed in universus, which we like to do, which we found the best way to do it. Add notes to say maybe the Pokemon is poisoned, or maybe that the foundation is sealed, or you can send it to different places easily without having to do all this clicking and dragging, which I'll show you how you mostly will be moving around cards. But you can send it to your hand, discard, remove your momentum or your deck. You can do a bunch of different things like alt face. You can face down. You can make a copy of the card. You can do a bunch of different things. You can do some things that aren't even really useful in universus even. But the point is, there's a bunch of different things you can do to allow you to create a bunch of different effects within the game. Best way to track health is two ways, really. It's to click on your character, add a counter, and then really just bring it up into your character's health by clicking it, the counter, until it's at your character's health, and then left clicking it to bring it down until you die or until you win the game. You get the point. Another way to track your character's health, which is how a lot of people track the character's health, and really how the Untap system wants you to, is using these markers or counters over here. When you start the game, they'll start on 25, 26, I believe. And you really just right click them until they're up to the health of your character, or left click them until they're down to the correct health, whichever one it needs to be. And then you can sort of, just like with the counter on the card, you can sort of, if you gain vitality or if you take damage and lose vitality, you can do that as well. Now, let's take a look at some of your deck options, some of the things you can do with your deck. So first thing is you can scoop your deck if you just want to get right into the next game, of course. You can change decks. You can also do a bunch of different things that aren't really that useful, but can be depending on the circumstances. You can flip the top card of your deck, which is, of course, very useful. You just hit that, and then you know what the top card is, and you can just bring it to the discard pile. I'll show you some hotkeys that you might really want to know for universus later, but that's something you can do to signify making checks or anything else in that matter. Or in that manner. You can peep, which is a weird way to put it, but it really just means look at the top X amount of cards in your deck. You can change how many cards that is by using this. You can find a card, which is basically searching a card out of your deck. It shows you your entire deck, and you basically just, if that's what, look for the, you get the point. Find the card that you're looking for. You can shuffle your deck, of course, just in case maybe you've mucked around a little bit. Maybe you misuse the mechanics of Untapped, or maybe it just required when playing the game, because of course you want to shuffle the deck as you play. You can draw cards, which basically means like moving cards from the top of your deck to a certain place, so you can move them to your momentum. If you're using a certain effect like that, you're removed. If you just reshuffled your deck, your discard pile, which if you want to make a check, you can do it like this: discard one right there, hit a 3. You can also draw to other places like your face down pile. Oh no, that's not what I mean. Sorry. You want to play it face down from the top of your deck. Or maybe just play it onto the field, which would do like this. Wait, give me a second. Oh yeah, of course. So when you play something onto the field, it should show up under your character, interestingly enough. But anyway, um, so basically that's a couple options you can do with the draw too. And then of course you have the draw button, which is draw X. It's preset on 7, but you can look at your character's hand size. And then say at the start of the game we draw 6. That's my opening hand. I play a couple foundations, let's say, and then I end my turn, I bring my foundations down. Let's say that happens, right? Let's say this all actually went down, right? Then let's say, of course, it's my opponent does this whole thing, he attacks me, I take a couple damage, let's say, let's just, for the sake of the argument. And then it's my turn, of course, you just draw up. You choose the difference, so I need 6 cards, I only have 4 in hand. Let's draw 2. Boom, done. So that's really how the draw button works. Of course, you can just, I believe you can just double tap your deck, double click your deck, and you'll draw 1 card that way as well. So if you want to look for a quick way to draw a card, you don't always have to click on the deck and go through the entire whole draw until thing. It's a lot easier just to double tap it when you're looking to draw into your hand directly. Just 1 card. Of course, the best way to move around cards, or the way that'll be probably used most, is clicking and dragging. You click and drag a card and send it to different places, like to your momentum. Wait, let's say it's a foundation, so it probably wouldn't end up in your momentum in most cases. Let's say you move this attack to your momentum, you dealt damage or something, you just finished reshuffling your deck, or rather, how do I put this? You just finish destroying a foundation due to one of their effects. I don't have one right here in my hand, but here we have one on Bakugo. Enhance, destroy 1 foundation. So let's say you destroy this foundation, you click, you drag, you move it to your discard pile. Okay, now we have a couple other things that you want to look at. You have the game menu, which allows you to click on this, and you can sort of toggle around and use these sort of settings right here. You can change a lot of things right here, which is good. You can have this toggle to lobby button, which allows you to stay in the game by technicality, but still look at your decks and maybe change stuff around out in the lobby. This is not as useful as it definitely used to be when there was chat logs in the lobby, but it's still very useful, don't get me wrong. Still can check out stuff outside of the game without technically leaving the game, and you can come back in the game exactly the way you left it. You can insert tokens, for example. There's not really much use of tokens in universes, but say if you're playing Digimon, then you'll definitely be needing some tokens. And when you're playing Dragon Ball Super card game, then yeah, tokens are definitely used a lot in the game. You also have insert play counter. This is something they added recently. You click on this and then it sits here and you can change it around, which is definitely a very useful thing. It may take away from maybe putting it here or tracking your health with the counter by your profile or your image, or tracking your health via the counter on the card. You can insert a play counter and track it this way. Or maybe you can insert a play counter, which I think we'll be doing a lot more in the future when we're playing Universus now. We're going to be using these play counters to track damage and speed, because this is a great way to signify not only on the card which one's being tracked with which, because obviously you can change the label. Just go, give me a second. You can just go right here, damage, for example, and then you can say it's a +2 damage attack, and then we play the attack, whatever, and then we enhance +2 damage, and then boom, strictly like that. Um, so yeah, that's really a great way to use to keep track of damage and keep track of speed and stuff like that, which I will definitely be using in the future when playing Universus. It seems like a very innovative way to do that. Believe it or not, I really hadn't thought about it until this moment to use that for that use. But yeah, insert play counter, definitely something that's cool and definitely something that I'll be using a lot more. Alert response, which if you're playing with a random person that you don't have audio contact with them, if you're just playing over the chat or something, this is the best way to let them know that, wait, don't do anything else, don't activate any more effects. I'm about to declare a responsibility. Let me find here's a foundation with a responsibility, for example. So you say, well, he's about to do something, and you're, hey, response commit. After my trigger attack is blocked, draw one card. Just like before you try to do anything else, okay? Before your opponent tries to activate any other effects that may change the outcome of the game if you don't have that card in hand. And then of course you can click no response to say that there's nothing else going on because maybe you have some responsibilities and maybe seeing if you want to activate any of them and you go, no, I'm good. And this is, of course, these two buttons are more useful in other games like Dragon Ball Super Card Game where you have a lot of counters and combos, and it's really good to these buttons are very useful, especially and even in Yu-Gi-Oh! When you have trap cards or whatnot, if you're playing those games on here. And I bet a bunch of games have a lot more uses for these two buttons than universus really does. But of course, like I said, with the responsibilities, this button is decently useful. Now you have draw and play area, which isn't at all really useful in universus, but it's definitely a lot more useful. Well, actually, it can be useful in universes, but it's a lot more useful in other games when it may be you may be unsure. Maybe your opponent's unsure what you want to attack or what you want to destroy, which is where it can be useful in universes. Like so your opponent knows which foundation you want to destroy. So you can draw in the play area. Say I'm gonna draw this foundation, destroy this foundation, for example. Or say I'm going to, if you had creatures in the field in like a game like Digimon, you could say I'm going to use this creature. Give me a second. I'm going to draw on player. I'm going to use this creature to attack this creature. And now obviously this is universes I'm using as an example, but of course you can use it that way in Digimon. So yeah, draw on player is definitely another useful feature that the game uses to allow it to make it easier for you and your opponent to understand what's happening in the game. You can click this button is very useful, and especially in universes when you may have huge boards. Double clicking every single card when you're say you use all your foundations making checks and then you want to start your turn, you're trying to ready them all, double clicking them all. Like, this is just 3 foundations and it's taking me a decent amount of time. Imagine when you're in deadlock or something, or your opponent's in deadlock or whatever, or something, and you have like 10 foundations out. Double clicking each of those to uncommit them is going to be a lot of work, which is why the beautiful sort of side button you have here is untap all cards. It just untaps all your cards, just your cards, and so it's very useful, a very useful. It's a very useful. Goodness, it's a very, it's a very useful thing in this game in particular. Yes, I know I said very useful maybe 20 times there, but bear with me. Okay, another thing is rolling the dice or flipping the coin. This, of course, like I said, what should I say about a lot of them before I realize how useful they really are? It's not that useful in universes because there's not a lot of randomized effects in universes. The most randomized thing in universes is completely controlled within the control value on the cards. Get a control, you get the point. Anyway, so, but this is useful for deciding who goes first in the game, and that's really the best thing you can use this for in universes. We both roll the d6, or we say I have odd, you have even. We roll the d6. Oh, it's a 3, I'm odd, I go first, or I choose who goes first, or something like that. You also have the hotkeys, which we're going to take a look at now, because they're very important to making universes on untap play a little smoothly. It took me a bit to realize some of these, but I definitely realized how some of them are very important to use. So, some things you can do that make it that you definitely want to be looking at on universes in particular is the D. When you hover over a card or your deck and click D, you send it directly to your discard pile, which is useful for checking cards. For example, I play in burst speed. I have to check a 2. hover on my deck, click D, flip the card, check to 3, we made the check. So obviously, as you can see, it makes it very, very useful for checking cards within the game. And you also have some other ones like S, send to removed if you have cards that have that ability. P, send to momentum, which is, of course, you'll have cards with that work that way because attacks work that way. When an attack deals damage, instead of dragging it to your momentum, P, send to momentum, P, send to the momentum. R, send to hand, not that useful. But of course it can be useful in certain things. Mostly you'll be dragging and dropping to hand. Another one I want to be showing is the J flip face down. Now, of course, a lot of abilities have the flip ability, in which basically flips the card over. So instead of clicking on the card, going to this and clicking face down, which you can do, you can just J, J, J. It's really that simple in terms of flipping cards face up and face down in universus. And that's really all you need to know, especially when playing universes. That's all you really need to know. There might be some things I left off because obviously I'm using universes as an example for this video here. But I'm pretty sure throughout this whole thing you got the point. You got your hotkeys, which of course you can map, I'm pretty sure, yourself by customizing and making it easy for yourself. But of course, hotkeys, learn them, create them, control them. You get the point. You've got your deck, your counters, your character, your cards, your different areas of play, and all that stuff. And it's really, if you know how to play universes, which if you don't, you can just go watch our how to play video. But if you do know how to play universes already, this will be a lot more simple and a lot more easy to understand than if you don't. Because there's a lot of things going on that may not make sense at first, and looking at it may seem like a bit much. But really, once you know how to play the game, you know how to zero in on what you need to know. And then if you don't, because Untapped, this is a really beautiful thing about it. It's such an open way to play the game. You can find other ways to play it that other people don't. Like I said, I showed you 3 different ways to track your health throughout this video. 3 different ways. And you can choose any one of them you want to track your health. And all of them are perfectly viable. So of course, maybe you don't like tracking it here. Maybe you don't like it tracking it on your character. But of course, you can insert a token. Wait, give me a second. You can insert a token and track it that way. I inserted 2. That's incorrect. The point is, the Untapped system, the Untapped website is a very open way to play all your favorite card games, from Digimon to Pokemon to, of course, one of my personal favorites playing on Untapped is Universus or the UFS or My Game, a collectible card game, whichever one you call it. It's really all the same. Your favorite card games can be played using this system, and I hope I use this video to show you just how you can use your favorite card games, or rather use this system to play your favorite card games, whether you're building a deck or using the actual system itself. If there's anything you don't understand or that I may have left out in this video, drop it in the comment section. I beg you, I implore you, because guess what? I'm not going to remember, I'm not going to be able to help you unless you ask, is the best way to put it. If I miss something or you still don't understand something, then I can just say, well, actually, it's this or that in the comment section. So please drop it in the comment section. But also, if you understood the video perfectly, and if it helped you or if it didn't even help you, if it's just something that you watched thinking it might help you and realize it didn't because it's really not up your alley, that's fine too. Just drop a comment down in the comment section saying, hey, thanks for making this video, or whatever it happens to be that you want to say. Also, I mean, of course, I don't know how to tell you this, but if you like the video, just drop a like. I mean, it's kind of free. Like a lot of people say this, but if you look at the facts, it is free. And of course, we'll never stop you from subscribing. If you want to subscribe to look for more content on Untapped, more battle videos, more videos of this kind, which maybe I can find another way to do a video of this kind. But anyway, the point is, if you're looking for some more Obsidian Roost content, please subscribe. We upload videos. We do. We really do. And if you like them, then if you want to be notified, hit the bell. You know what I'm saying? I'm pretty sure you guys all know what you're supposed to be doing here. How many times do people have to say this to you? But if you understood everything in this video, and if all is well and all is good, then we hope to see you guys next time. Goodbye.